Should you sell your collectibles for Satoshis? Those things you love and cherish so much for Satoshis? Good question. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're going to talk about today. What is up, guys? It is Saturday, July 19th, 2025. We're at the Bitcoin block height of 906,248. Today's Bitcoin price, as of this recording, is about 118,220, something like that. But that's not the important part. For $1, guys, you can get yourself 846 Satoshis. And yes, I said it, even though I messed up. For $1. My goodness, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Satoshi Saturday, the official Satoshi Saturday. I believe I'm the only one that does these. And today's a special episode for me. Today is episode number 75. And that's special to me for a few reasons. Number one is I was born in 1975. So every time I hear the number 75, think about the year I was born. And also today is the 19th, and I was born on the 19th, which is crazy. These numbers are numbering. And also I plan to live until the year 2100. I want to be 125 years old. I want to see the new century kick in, and that is 75 years from now. 74 and a half now. And I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of a warm day. I'm glad that I can actually walk outside without frying. So I'm gonna do this early, and the reason I'm doing this early because backed by popular demand, I'm gonna be doing a live today on Saturday this afternoon, probably at around 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. People apparently want me to do a live 7 days a week now. And again, if you bring the demand, I'll bring the supply. And so I'll see you there. We had a lot of fun on there. And yesterday's live got me to thinking, because I was going back, being nostalgic, thinking about my precious metals I used to have, my collectibles. I'm not very much into collecting things myself, to be honest with you. But when it came to precious metals, I had a lot of, let's just say, collectibles that I liked. And not just the precious metals itself, within itself, because I did love collecting precious metals. But I actually had a lot of pieces in there that I really, really enjoyed and liked. And we were talking about it on the live yesterday. I was showing some videos. And man, that brought back some memories. For those of you that don't know, I stacked precious metals from the summer of 2020. Hardcore. I put all my retirement in there into precious metals. And I was stacking hard, and I started my channel built around precious metals because I learned about the money being broken. I didn't know anything about it until I was 45 years old. Embarrassing to say that. And once I understood it and realized at the moment, or at that time, that precious metals was the way, I went all in, man. I went all in. And I remember the first time I held a gold bar, and then the first time I ever held silver, it was a 100-ounce Engelhard bar. I'll never forget that. And the feeling that I had was just like, wow, this is real money. Because I was sitting on some cash. I was the type of dude at that moment that I didn't even like keeping cash in the bank, because I had some problems with them. So I always loved counting my cash. And I was like, oh my God, I love feeling the cash, you know. We all do. I still do. But nothing compared to those metals. That hard money. You don't realize what hard money is until you hold it in your hands, man. It's a completely different feeling. And that collector in me kicked in, because when I was a kid, I can't say I didn't collect. When I was a kid, I did collect stuff. I collect baseball cards. I also collected, when I got older, basketball cards. Then when I was a kid, I used to collect, remember the Garbage Pail Kids? Cabbage Patch Kids and all that stuff. And, you know, old G.I. Joes and Transformers. So I'm lying. I do kind of collect stuff. As of recently, I didn't. But with the precious metals in particular, I really liked constitutional silver, because again, I'm an American patriot historian, and I love that stuff, man, because those are something that my great grandfather might have held, you know, money from back in the 1800s and stuff, and the old stuff they're not making anymore. And it was just like, wow, you know. So I became a collector within a collector, and I also got and picked up some rare pieces. And then from the summer of 2020 until February 2021, 7 months in, I bought my first purchase of Satoshis. February 2021. And again, I didn't go all in with Satoshis, but I was still a hardcore precious metal guy, and I was hard-headed. And you couldn't tell me anything about, you know, silver, you know, that it wasn't the way, and, you know, the industrial uses and everything else. I was just all in on it, right? But then the more and more I went down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin / Satoshis, the more and more I realized that this is the way. You know, and the reason I was holding silver in the first place, I had gold too, but I ended up selling even before I got into Bitcoin. Well, I was into Bitcoin, but I realized that I thought silver was better. So I until the gold to silver ratio got a little bit better, I sold all my gold and traded it in for silver because I felt like silver was a better, not a better money, but a better store of value, because I believed with the prices being out of whack, you know, 80 to 100 Satoshi ratio, silver ratio to 1 gold and all that stuff. And plus with the utility, with the, you know, silver, because we need silver, you know, utility for computers and everything else. I just got rid of all my gold and traded in for silver. But I realized down the road, even with the precious silver and they don't make any more silver like the constitutional and stuff, because we don't realize this, guys, but we always float towards the hardest thing, the hardest money, right? Whether we know that or not. Because again, I say this all the time on this channel, money is supposed to be hard to get, right? That's what money is based on. Why? Because your time is hard to get. Money is your life. It's energy. Every time you go to work for 40 hours, you're not getting those 40 hours back, ladies and gentlemen. So they have to compensate you by giving you something for your time. You know, it's not just your time, but it's your skills and what you're bringing in, your goods and services, the value you're bringing to the company or the business or whatever. And that's what it is. Money is energy, and you can't get that back, right? And we seem to float towards the hardest thing of something, right? The hardest form of something. That's why, you know, collectibles are so valued, because they're hard, right? What does that mean? It means they're hard to get, right? You know, if I had a Barry Bonds card right now, okay, cool, I got a Barry Bonds card, you know. But if I had Barry Bonds rookie card from a certain company, they only made 100 of them, and then he signed it, again, how many of those are walking around or floating around? Not a lot. That's rare. It's hard. It's hard to get. That's why a collectible is so hard to give up, and that's why they're so, you know, treasured and valued and stuff. And that's the same thing how gold and silver used to be until they started making fiat currency and making people believe that that was money, and it's not. That's why gold became money, because it's hard to get, it's hard to mine, and it's proof of work, right? But as far as your collectibles go, you got to look at them and say, what am I doing here? Because that's what I had to do. Even when I started selling my silver off, when I realized that Bitcoin is the way, because it's so hard to get, I had to realize that Satoshis are almost like a collectible. And I'm not talking about the Bitcoin magazine version of that. You know, oh, this Satoshi is this number and all that. I don't fall for that. But it's kind of collectible in itself, because Satoshis right now are easy to get, relatively speaking, to US dollars. You know, I can get 800 and something of them for $1 today. But as time goes on, you get less and less. When I first started this Satoshi Saturday series, I could get over 2,000 Satoshis for $1. Now I get less than half of that. I get about 40% of that, 40-something percent of that. Is that a collectible? Is that hard to get? Relatively speaking, hey, depends on how you measure it. And so I had to realize when I was dwindling down my silver, because I kept selling my silver, the ones that weren't the hardest one, just the regular silver rounds and the ones that I can just buy willy-nilly, that was, you know, had a high supply of those and not a very high demand, I would sell those off and trade them in for Satoshis. And again, back then I started selling, I think, in 2022, slowly but surely, because I just kept getting sucked into the black hole of Bitcoin and the knowledge. And that's why I tell people, to get your knowledge up. But before you do that, guys, I'm telling you, if you don't have 1 million Satoshis, by the way, smash by 1 million Satoshis. Do that first, and then do your studying, because then you'll realize what you have. You'll realize how rare you are. Because again, if you have 1 million Satoshis, you will be rarer than a millionaire. And again, I get into that in previous Satoshi Saturdays. This is number 75. If you haven't watched the other ones, go back and listen to them. But when I was looking at my silver, I had to really say, okay, let me keep the hard stuff. Let me keep the constitutional silver, meaning the stuff they're not making anymore. When I first started getting into silver and gold, I realized, like, oh my God, this constitutional silver, this junk silver they used to call it, is nothing but the source. It's the farthest thing from that. How is it junk when they're not making anymore? They stopped making it in 1964. And I'm talking about quarters, dimes, 50-cent pieces, dollars. It was 90% silver back then. Real money, silver. And then they started counterfeiting it. So when you have a quarter or a dime or whatever in your pocket, that's not real money. It's just copper and a bunch of BS in there. Real money is gold and silver, and now Satoshis. And I had to realize when I saw that, I was like, wow, they're not making any more of this. A lot of it's been melted down, and it's hard and it's rare and it's historic and it's American. I just couldn't get enough of it. So that was the last stuff that I sold to go. But then I had to ask myself, when I got down to the very nitty gritty, to the last part of it, of my precious metals, and sell them for Satoshis. Because again, I was selling a lot cheaper Bitcoin than I was now. I sold when Bitcoin was in the 20s and 30s. I may have sold a little bit when it was in the 40s, maybe at the end. Maybe high 30s, low 40s, like 39, 40, 41, something like that. But again, like I said, right now we're at 118,000. I had to get down to the last part of that, guys, and say, okay, if I sell this silver, if I sell this right now, the stuff that I just absolutely love, man, I love this stuff. And again, I'm getting tingly about it now, getting sad thinking about it now, because I used to go in my room every day and just play with it and the silver, guys, and just mess about with it and stuff. And I had to say to myself, can I get this stuff back if I sold it? And if the answer was yes, that's what I did. I sold it, got the cuck bucks, and put it into Satoshis. Here's the thing about collectibles, guys. Collectibles, they are for you, okay? They're for you and your family to pass down. And it's all objectively viewed by how you view them and how you feel about them. My rule of thumb is this. If I love it, and I absolutely love it, and I cannot get it back, when it comes to selling for Satoshis, I will not sell it. Okay, that's number one, or maybe number two. Number one is sentimental value. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she used to collect records, right? And she collected different records. Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, she had some, and she always bought 2 copies of a record. And I always asked her why. We used to go to the record store and used to flip through the records. Remember that, guys? And she says, well, I keep one to play it and another one in plastic because it's a classic. That's what she's telling me. And our family still has some of those records for 2 reasons. One, it is rare to have a Michael Jackson, Thriller album, still in the plastic. That's rare. It's not impossible to find, but it's rare. But most importantly is my grandmother handpicked those out, and they belong to her. And I'd never sell that. I would never sell that. So if it has sentimental value to you and it cannot be replaced, again, I can go buy another Michael Jackson album. It cost me a lot, but I wouldn't replace it because it just doesn't have my grandmother's touch and her picking it out and the lessons he taught me with those records. And there's other few things too. But this is what you gotta look at, guys. You gotta look at, can I replace it? And if you can, and again, I'm not telling anybody to sell your stuff for Satoshis. I'm talking to the ladies and gentlemen out here, and especially to the guys, because we're more collectors than women, but women collect stuff too, you know what I mean? I know that. It's gender neutral. But for those of you that are sitting there thinking, should you sell those things for Satoshis, let me give you a word of advice, okay? On the Satoshi side of things, okay? And again, the stuff that you have, I'm guaranteeing it's hard to get, right? It is a form of that thing, whatever it is, a baseball card or whatever it is. It's the hardest form of that, probably. And if it's not, then it's probably not a collectible, guys. I want you to think about that, okay? And again, when you go down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin, if you haven't done this already, which I'm sure most of you have, and you're looking around and stuff, like, man. But if you haven't got there, I'm telling you, you will. Because again, once you see the broken system and the money system, you can't unsee it. Remind me, guys, today to show you a news clip I saw today. My neighbor, my crazy neighbor, I call him, got this house, has this house for sale. It's kind of like a museum house. And I take a walk by here every day. And I think it's separated into 2 different houses now. And they're selling this house. And it's got, it's like a museum in there. I think the door's open. No. And remind me to do this on the live today. They're selling it for $2.5 million. And I'm just thinking, man, because I used to be into real estate. I used to have real estate and flip it and all that stuff and rent out stuff. The first thing I think, again, this is a collectible, this house. Speaking of collectibles, it has all kind of collectibles. As you can see, they got the shuttle here. Then they got the Batmobile over there. And inside of this house, they got all kind of collectibles in there. Speaking of collectibles. And I would think to myself, would I freaking buy this house for $2.5 million? Depends on what's in there, depending on what it's worth. But anyways, when you guys go down that rabbit hole, it's hard to come out when you find out what true money is and how the system is broken, and then you find out that that whole system that you're in has been a lie, and it's a problem, and then you find out that Bitcoin is the only solution. I'm telling you, Satoshis are the only solution to this evilness and this problem. It really is, whether you know that or not. So when you're doing that, people that are already doing it, or people looking at the stuff, you got to say, okay, is this stuff really worth it? Do I need it? Do I need to keep it? And ask yourself, is it a collectible, number one? But number two, does it have sentimental value? Is it irreplaceable that a family, it's a family loom or something that your family member had and stuff like that, And if that's the case, then ask yourself, would they care if I sold it? Or is it something that really means something to me personally? Because some people keep collectible things in their home. And I used to go into pawn shops all the time buying silver, and in these gold and silver shops, and I've seen people sell their quote unquote collectibles, and they didn't even care about it. They're like, yeah, this is my dad's stuff, blah, 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 blah. That's another reason I sold my precious metals, because I'm like, my kids and grandkids don't give a damn about gold and silver. They don't. This is a digital world, and the digital world needs digital money, whether I like it or not. Just because I love it don't mean they are going to love it, because it's going to be passed down to them. And I figure, hey, in 50 or 75 or 100 years or whatever, I think they'd be a lot better off with the silver. But I've seen people go into these pawn shops and these coin shops and just sell their stuff, man, for cash. Or some people collect, turn it in for gold and silver, some collectors. And the reason why is because either they really needed the money, 95% of them, or two, it really didn't mean that much to them, right? So that's what you got to do. Put a scale of 1 to 10, on what does this mean to me? Because again, it's for you. A collectible, you're the one that's collecting it, right? Now, if it's a family thing, and your brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles all hold it. Again, the stuff that I was talking about, the records, they're not mine. All of our family has it. We actually have it at my aunt's house. That's for the family. The stuff that my grandparents have, we have stuff at certain aunts and uncles' houses that they wanted certain things. And when we go over there, we go visit, almost like a museum. You know what I mean? If it's not museum stuff that you just absolutely love and care about and collect, And hey, think about it. You know what I mean? But also, you have to remember that you can't get it back. These are things, again, that you cannot get back. So keep that in mind. But from the Satoshi side of things, this is what I was going to get into before I got distracted by the museum/house, is this. Satoshi's Bitcoin are going to go up in value forever. Your purchasing power with these things are going to go up forever, whether you understand that or not. Why? For 3 reasons. Number one, the system that we're in is broken. And we're living under a broken monetary system. Fiscal policies here are terrible in this country and all over the world. We print dollars, guys. Remember I told you earlier that quote-unquote money is supposed to be hard to get, even though Satoshis are, it's just the ultimate form of money, but we call fiat money, which is funny. I didn't mean to rhyme, but I did. They print it. Is that hard to do? Is that hard money? Is that hard to print? No. Now, me and you did it, we go to prison for it. But it is counterfeit, you know, and it is printing money. You're just making dollars out of thin air. That's what they do. And they do it in 3 ways. They print the US dollars off a printing machine. They also, you know, I'm not gonna get all into it, but you know what they do with the treasuries and the bonds and stuff like that. And then they do fractional reserve banking at the bank. And they also print it digitally on the screen. They'll just print it and just pop it up on the screen. Zeros and ones out of nowhere. Again, is that hard money? No. When it came to the stimulus checks, do you think they could have gave out, relatively speaking, gold and silver are very, very hard money relative to dollars. Do you think they could have just gave out a bunch of ounces of gold and silver, the equivalent of whatever the checks numbers were, 1,200, 1,400, with platinum, gold, and silver? No, they couldn't do that. And they definitely couldn't do it with Bitcoin or Satoshis, especially considering the fact that rumor has it that we got rid of 80% of our supply. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll get into that. Talking about the US only having like 29,000, whatever it is left of Bitcoin, when we're supposed to have like 200 something thousand, 190,000, whatever. That's step one. Step 1 of 3 of why Satoshi's and Bitcoin's price and purchasing power is always going to go up. They're always going to print the dollars, right? Always. They're never going to stop. They may change the rate of print of how they print, but they're always going to print it. Which means what? It means the dollars are going to be devalued, because it's a simple equation, economics 101, of supply and demand. The more supply you have of something, the demand goes down. Again, fiat dollars are easy to get, relatively speaking. I can make $100 much easier than I could in 1980 when I was 5 years old, even though I didn't have the capability because I was only 5. But someone that was 20 years old or 30 years old in 1980, it would take them a lot more, or a lot less time, or a lot more time in 1980 to get $100 bill than us today. Is so much more easier. Well, Satoshis and Bitcoin are the exact opposite, like I talked about earlier. Today, you can only get 840 something Satoshis for $1. A year and a half ago, when I started this Satoshi Saturday, I can get over 2,000. So it's doing the opposite effect. Why? Why is it that this hard money's harder to get versus easier to get than the fiat? It's simple. They don't print Bitcoin, Satoshis, number 1. Number 2 is proof of work. In order to get Satoshis, you have to mine it. And it takes a lot of computational power and energy to do that, right? It does. But another thing besides that is the supply is limited. There's only 21 million Bitcoins, or Bitcoin, 2.1 quadrillion. That's it. And its supply is fixed every 10 minutes, and it's also fixed every 4 years. The supply actually gets cut in half every 4 years. So this 4 years, this epoch, or this cycle, they're printing out or only being able to mine 450 Bitcoin a day. Last cycle, in the last 4 years before they did the halving, it was 900. So I'm not a mathematician here, but the next cycle, epoch 6, will be 225 a day. We're getting 3.125 Bitcoin when the miners mine the block for the subsidy next year in 2028, when that halving happens, that 225 Bitcoin a day breaks down to half of 3.125, which is like 1.56 something or something like that every 10 minutes. It gets cut in half. Meanwhile, again, the fiat currencies, they're printing even more than they were before, because once they were starting to print millions, that wasn't enough until they started printing billions, then hundreds of billions, then they got into trillions. And what's next after trillions? Who knows? Maybe they'll print quadrillions, I don't know, before the system breaks. So the fiat currency is going to always lose value, number one. And number two, Satoshis are going to gain value because of the reasons I just said. And number three, it's also has to do with supply and demand, is that the demand for Satoshis are going to go up while the supply goes down, and the demand for US dollars are going to go down while the supply goes up. Those are the three reasons it's always going to go up. So measure that towards your, or against your collectibles you have. Look at your collectibles and go, okay, let me measure it against Satoshis. Now again, if it has sentimental value and all the things I said before, and the irreplaceable things and the feelings that you have, nothing can replace that. Nothing can replace your grandmother's, necklace or something like that. I'm talking about anything that you can't replace and doesn't have sentimental value. How's it going to measure up against Satoshis? Satoshis are going to go up forever. Is your collectible going up forever? It may. I'm not saying it won't. A lot of collectibles do go up. Barry Bonds cards will go up. Michael Jordan cards will go up, whatever. But will it go up faster than your Satoshis? Right? And if so, or if not, and Satoshis go up faster, here's another question. Again, if you have some sentimental value to it and it goes up faster, could you buy it back? That's the second or third layer question that you want to know. And that's what I had to do when I had a talk, because I used to talk to my silver. I talked to them. I had a long talk and go, look, guys, here's the deal. And I told them, and they go, oh, we knew this was coming. They started getting together and they were talking. I was like, no, I'm coming back for you guys. I have a plan to come back for my silver. I'm going to buy my silver again, but for a lot less Satoshis than I got when I sold them. A fraction of them. Am I selling them, or am I going to buy them or am I going to buy this silver back because I know that it's a good way to save? Compared to fiat it is, but not compared to US dollars. Neither are your collectibles. If you figure out that your collectibles are not going up in value or purchasing power as much as your Satoshis, which is probably not, guys. But again, look at each individual. Look at the Kager, if you will, of that collectible. But if it's not, what I did was I talked to him and I said, hey, I'll come back for you. And that's what I'm going to do. And so far, so good. Again, I sold, look at this thing. Is that a cockroach? Holy crap. You guys see that? I saw one like that the other day. He's dead. That thing is huge. I wear a size 14, guys. That thing is almost half my shoe size. Holy crap. So once you figure that out, that the collectible is not going up in Kager wise or purchasing power of your Satoshis, then ask yourself, can I get it back? And that's what I had to do with my silver. I have a couple of pieces left that I got as a gift, or if I sold it, I couldn't get it back no matter what the price is. I'd have to really, really search for it. I just keep it. You know what I mean? There's a couple things that I have. And that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. And this is tough, man. This is a tough thing. But, again, Satoshis are going to go up forever. This is why I always say, and I had to look at it, and this is how I came up with my ending that people like. This is why I always say, when I look at it, everything else, particularly my precious metals, when it came to saving, there's nothing better than Bitcoin. It's the best way to save. And for me, the only way to save. And that's why I did that, because it is the only way to save. And if you're saving in that collectible, I'm pretty sure, if I had to take a guess, that Satoshis are a lot better. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And again, guys, listen, Satoshis are becoming more and more rare. Are they collectible? Are they super rare right now? No, because this is criminal, honestly, that you can print millions of dollars a day and only print or print 450 Satoshis a day, or Bitcoin a day, and the ratio is 840 something to $1 in Satoshi. To me, my personal opinion, should be the opposite. But the only reason it's not because people don't understand it yet. And that is where your opportunity comes in, ladies and gentlemen. You got to study this thing hard. Again, if you haven't gotten to your million Satoshis, do that. But the decisions you're making today when it comes to, you know, your DCAing and your smash buying and all that stuff, that's cool. But anything not nailed to the floor that you don't need, if you're some kind of hoarder, get rid of it, in my personal opinion, and sell it for Satoshis. Because again, you'll be able to get that crap back. Because everything has a place and a place for everything. Either throw it in the garbage if nobody wants it, or get some sats for it. But when it comes to these collectibles, guys, use those rules back there, like I said, and make sure you really, really consider that. Because if you do, and if you make that decision, I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, that your collectible is not going to set your family up for generations to come. That's another factor you need to put in there. But I know one thing that will. One day, guys, whether you know this or not, you're not going to be able to buy these Satoshis anymore. You're going to have to trade your time and energy for it. You have to work for it. And if you do that today, and you trade in those collectibles that you think are so valuable in for Satoshis, your family is not going to be, let's just say if you kept those collectibles, they're not going to honor you for them. But if you do sell them for Satoshis and you give your family generational wealth, I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, that they're going to build statues of you in the future. So since you know that, and you know you have to skate to where the puck is going, do you and your family a favor, guys. And please, Lord, let these people heed these words. Stack Satoshis today, guys, so that you and your family don't have to work for those exact same Satoshis tomorrow. I love each and every one of you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.